Sunlight only made it so far into the depths of Barathrum Cave, and beyond that, it was pure darkness. Sen had brought a torch with him, which he lit now. He also summoned his sacred blood armor. As the liquid metal hardened around his body, Sen immediately began to feel safer. The quartz scorpions of Barathrum Cave were infamously sneaky. They were small creatures, though their small body packed more than enough toxins to kill a fully grown man, and they hid easily behind the jagged crystals that lined the entirety of the cave system. As most of them were primitive creatures, however, they would not be able to pierce sacred soul armor with their pointed tails. Sen began to walk into the cave. The light from his torch reflected off the purple crystals on the walls, and they shot out brilliant purple light. While it made the space brighter, it had the odd effect of making the walls sparkle with tiny moving lights. If the cave was not also filled with deadly scorpions, Sen would have been able to enjoy the unique sight of many little moving lights. But instead, he was forced to squint to watch for the dark creatures in the swirling lights. Clank! Sen felt something hit his foot. He looked down and saw that a deep blue scorpion, spotted purple by the crystal light, was attempting to sting his ankle. It rammed him again and again with its tail, ineffectively trying to inject him with poison. Sen sighed. Even though it was harmless, the scorpion was a bad sign. It had snuck up on him almost immediately. It was a primitive creature, so it posed no threat. The true danger was finding a mutant quartz scorpion, or rather, having it find him. If he was attacked by one, or multiple, mutant versions, there was a chance they could find a weakness in his armor. He lifted his foot and stomped on the scorpion, crushing it with a crunch. Primitive creature, quartz scorpion killed. No beast soul gained. Eat the flesh of the quartz scorpion to gain 0 to 10 primitive geno points. He picked up the dead scorpion between his armored fingers and dropped it into a bag. Just to be safe, he had lined the bag with a special material that would prevent any toxins from seeping out. Then he slung the bag back behind his shoulder and kept walking. The first hour of the hunt proved efficient and effective. The scorpions naturally gathered around Sen, thinking he was just another foolish adventurer who thought, "These creatures are so small, what an easy hunt." Skeletons scattered along the ground told Sen that these scorpions were generally quite successful in keeping intruders out of their cave. Unfortunately for them, the scorpions were not prepared to face someone with sacred blood armor around their legs. Soon, he could feel his legs getting tired. He had stomped on so many of the scorpions, he lost track. His bag may have contained over 100 of the things. He started getting creative with his stomps, adding little jumps or seeing whether he could kill a scorpion with each step and seeing how many he could get in a row. His record was 6, but that was because he had to leap over a small chasm to continue deeper. Sen even started to sing a silly song about crushing scorpions. He was no musician and hated to have others listen to him. The scorpions, he found, were generous judges after he decided stinging meant, "We love your song." It went, "Stomp and stomp, the scorpion small, in Barathrum Cave my feet do fall. With our boots we'll have no fear, and crunching will be all we'll hear." "Dollar?" A woman's voice echoed in the dark cave. Sen stopped dead in his tracks. His breath caught in his throat. He had heard that voice before, but where? He whirled around with his torch, and then he saw her. Sarah Arryn! Sen was so shocked he forgot his embarrassment at having been caught singing. Sarah was leaning against a large crystal stalagmite in an odd pose that seemed far too relaxed for anyone deep inside Barathrum Cave, and even weirder for the active and uptight Sarah Arryn. Sen was not sure how to act. This was the woman he had stabbed in the behind, after all. He was used to her publicly berating him and calling him a pervert. But right now, she wasn't treating him like ass freak. She was treating him like dollar. She coughed.
I didn't expect to see you here. I didn't expect to see anyone here. I promise I'm not looking for trouble.
Oh, me neither, Sen said, hoping she wouldn't recognize his voice in the echoey cave. He looked down and noticed that her ankle was swollen and badly bruised. You were stung. It crossed his mind that Sarah must have many valuable treasures on her. As a warrior became more powerful in the sanctuary, they acquired quite a few tools, and their favorites tended to follow them wherever they went. It was tempting, therefore, to try to rob her of some of her goods. Another person may have done this without a second thought. Sen, though, knew that even if he was able to defeat Sarah here, her gang would follow him to the ends of the sanctuary. Besides, he had respect for the mighty warrior, even though she had made his life miserable. Perhaps it would be better to simply help her out and demand a reward. He noticed a scorpion crawling up behind her and started towards it. Immediately, thinking Sen was running up to attack her, Sarah summoned a beast soul dagger, which shone bright purple like the butterfly beast it had dropped from. She held it up, halting Sen in place.
Not another step, Dollar. You know this dagger?
Sen tried to warn her. There's a scorp. Without taking her eyes off him, Sarah effortlessly stabbed the scorpion behind her. The insect writhed on the end of her blade and seemed to shrivel up before Sen's eyes.
It's the beast soul of a deathwing butterfly, and it's imbued with poison that makes these scorpions look like ordinary bees. One touch and you're done. So remember that if you're thinking of trying something.
Sen tried to assuage her fears.
I'm not going to try anything. Don't worry.
He knew she must feel abnormally vulnerable right now. Usually she was the toughest person in the room. Right now, in her current state, that wasn't necessarily true.
Besides,
Sen added,
we just met. There aren't any hard feelings between us, so I have no intention of wronging you.
It couldn't hurt to further separate his dollar persona from himself, and it would be very helpful if Sarah thought that she hadn't met him before. Sarah grinned at him.
So, you do know who I am.
Sen considered how to answer as dollar, then responded.
You're Sarah Arryn, right?
She nodded.
Then of course everyone in the region has heard of Sarah Arryn.
Tactfully, he added,
You've been Steel Armor Shelter's champion at the Starlight Marshal Hall for years. That's how I've heard of you, besides hearing from your little lackey, Tony. Tobias, Sarah corrected him. As for that, we can discuss my offer on the axe and beast soul later. For now, I would greatly appreciate your help getting out of here. I can walk a little, although it hurts. The real problem is getting over the chasms on the way back. Jumping will be a problem.
For a moment, Sen was surprised that Sarah didn't sound that scared. Most people would be on the brink of death after a quartz scorpion sting. But then he realized that she was not most people. Her wealth of sacred blood geno points, combined with her mastery of various hyper-geno arts, had boosted her poison resistance and overall constitution. What would kill an average person would only cripple her, and her recovery time would be short. Sen asked her,
How did you even get here?
It was odd that there were no quartz scorpion carcasses on his way in, if he was the second hunter here. Sarah coughed again and propped herself up.
I came looking for a mutant quartz scorpion. They drop a beast soul I'm interested in, and I figured it wouldn't be too hard to grab it for myself. I was using incense.
Sen could see that Sarah indeed had a small metal globe with her, covered in holes and hanging from a small chain on her armor.
Smart, he thought. It hadn't occurred to me to use tools like that when hunting. But then how did she get stung?
As if reading his mind, Sarah added,
It burned out. I trusted a moron who works for me to pack it, and the idiot didn't put in nearly enough. When I get back to the shelter, he's going to learn an important lesson on double-checking your work. One he'll never forget.
She twirled her knife. Sen knew that she didn't really intend to seriously hurt the person, but he didn't doubt that they would remember whatever punishment she doled out.
So you say you want my help?
Sen left the question there, although the suggestion was obvious. What was the reward? Sarah sighed.
There'll be a reward in it for you. God, your name really is fitting, isn't it? Dollar. Don't worry, I have plenty of cash to give you back at the shelter.
Sen shook his head. Don't need cash. I'll do it for a mutant beast soul, nothing less. Sarah groaned. Why did everything have to be so difficult?
That's far too much.
I told you, Arryn, I know who you are. That means I know a mutant beast soul means nothing to you. Plus, we're surrounded by scorpions. The way I see it, a mutant beast soul is a very fair trade. She rolled her eyes.
Fine, you've got a deal.
But instead of going to help Sarah out, Sen turned and began to step deeper into the cave.
Where are you going? You said you were going to help.
Sarah yelled after him. I am, Sen called back. Just got to see about the mutant scorpion you mentioned first. And Sen traveled deeper into the darkness.